The Fifth Party System by Cat Eckerle, Donald Haws, and Vincent Sambucci. The Fifth Party System time period. It started in 1932 and lasted into the 1960s. It was mainly dominated by the Democratic Party from 1932 to 1952 and had a small Republican presence from 1952 to 1960, and the Democratic Party resumed from 1960 to 1968. Events in the U.S. at the time. October 24th, 1929, the stock market crashed, which led to the loss of jobs and fall in the worldwide economy. March 4th, 1933, Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected president. March 9th, the first New Deal was put into place and aimed to restore prosperity to Americans by providing jobs, stabilize the economy, and relieve the suffering of Americans. And March 9th as well, the Emergency Banking Relief Act was passed, which enabled more banks to be reopened after being determined financially secure. On August 14th, 1935, the Social Security Act was passed by Congress, and the Second New Deal was also put into place, which provided more programs to attack the economic crisis, established the Works Progress Administration, also known as the WPA, that employed millions by working in construction for public works, such as roads and buildings. May 26, 1938, the APUSH was formed. It began investigations on people who were expected to affiliate or had any ties with the Nazis. September 1st, 1939, World War II begins when Hitler invaded Poland. December 7th, 1941, the United States joins World War II after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. April 12th, 1945, Harry S. Truman was elected president. And August 6th through August 9th, 1945, the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki took place, which caused over 120,000 immediate deaths. On March 12th, 1947, the Truman Doctrine took place. The doctrine asked Congress for $400 million in order to aid in military and economic assistance for Turkey and Greece. June 25th, 1950, the Korean War begins. The U.S. had helped fight for South Korea to stop worldwide communism. January 20th, 1953, Dwight D. Eisenhower was elected president. November 1st, 1955, the Vietnam War began, and the U.S. had provided funding, weapons, equipment, training, and soldiers to fight off the communistic north of Vietnam. December 1st, 1955, the Civil Rights Movement began because of the Rosa Parks incident. January 20th, 1961, John F. Kennedy was elected president. August 28th, the March on Washington was held, which aimed to gain attention for the challenges and inequalities faced by African Americans. November 22nd, 1963, John F. Kennedy was assassinated. November 22nd, the same day, in 1963, Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn in after the assassination. July 2nd, 1964, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed, which outlawed discrimination based on religion, color, race, sex, or national origin. August 6, 1965, the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was passed, which prohibited any racial discrimination in voting.
The Democratic Party dominated the majority of the Fifth Party system with Democratic presidents such as Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry S. Truman, John F. Kennedy, and Lyndon B. Johnson. However, the Republican Party dominated the minority of the Fifth Party system with one Republican president, Dwight D. Eisenhower. The last political party of the Fifth Party system was the Communist Party, which lasted from 1919 to 1950. In 1942, the party reached 85,000 members within the United States. The main platforms of the Democratic Party during the Fifth Party system were modern liberalism to fix the country financially and improve the welfare of the people. Modern liberalism advocated for social and economic equality and the welfare of the state. To fix the country financially, President Franklin D. Roosevelt enacted the New Deal, which was a series of financial reforms and public work projects. The main platforms of the Republican Party during the fifth party system were to provide assistance to low-income communities, protect Social Security, and strengthen labor laws. Lastly, the main platform of the Communist Party during the fifth party system was to achieve a stateless and classless society. Some of the leading politicians during the fifth party system include Franklin D. Roosevelt, who was the Democratic president of 1933 to 1945. After his sudden death, his vice president, Harry S. Truman, became president from 1945 to 1953. In 1953, Dwight D. Eisenhower became the first Republican president of the fifth party system and was president until 1961. In 1961, John F. Kennedy was elected president and was president until 1963 after he was tragically assassinated. The last main leading politician during the fifth party system was President Lyndon B. Johnson, who was president from 1963 to 1969.
A controversial issue during the fifth party system is the 1932 presidential election. Franklin D. Roosevelt won a landslide victory over Republican nominee Herbert Hoover. Franklin D. Roosevelt campaigned on Hoover's failures as president during the Great Depression. Franklin D. Roosevelt promised to bring relief, reform, and recovery with the New Deal. FDR served 3 terms and started his 4th term. The Republicans were annoyed that Franklin D. Roosevelt had served for so long as president. When the Republicans got back the majority in the Senate and Congress, they passed the 22nd Amendment, limiting a person to 2 terms as president. Another controversial issue during the fifth party system was the States' Rights Democratic Party, also known as the Dixiecrats. The Dixiecrats were founded in 1984 during the presidential election and dissolved after the election. The Dixiecrats rejected the Democratic nominee Harry Truman, so they nominated their own, Strom Thurmond. Truman beat Dewey and Thurmond for the presidency. They were active in the South and opposed to integration in the military, were anti-union, supported Southern nationalism, and white supremacy. A turning point during the fifth party system is when the Republicans lose support after Hoover's failures as president. Franklin D. Roosevelt wins the presidency and passes the New Deal, which helps the U.S. recover from the Depression. Franklin D. Roosevelt was president for 12 years, and the Republicans did not have a president until Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was elected in 1953. Also during this time, the Republicans split. Some supported the right-winged Robert Taft, while others supported more moderate conservatives, such as Nelson Rockefeller, Jacob Javits, and Henry Lodge.